I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is FTB Genesis. Now, over the last few episodes, well, we have been diving heavily into tech and expanding our infrastructure, all the way to getting UU matter. And we now have UU matter being produced as we just let time go on. Today, we're going to dive a little bit further into the quest line, and we should be able to uncover the lost bees that we had produced over time, but apparently most of them had died off that were in the world. And well, we need to unlock this chapter. And so we have done everything we need to do here. It says, after obtaining the solar gem, you should be able to craft Terra Steel. And it says, use some to bind an elven gateway to trade for honey essence. So we should be able to trade for honey essence, and this is going to lead us into a new chapter, epigenetics, which this is going to be a genetics based bee progression line. I'm pretty excited for this actually, but this also is going to need Botania stuff, as it mentioned. So we need to make at least one piece of Terra Steel, and that should open up or give us access to open up a portal. Now, I ended up doing just a teensy bit of off-camera work here. I ended up going ahead and trading in underneath the trading quest here, and I ended up getting more flowers. If you already have the battery accepted, you just turn in the petals, and you can actually get tons of these. And then I also made a mana tablet. So underneath the Botania section, I made a tablet, and I ended up getting 4 floating flowers, and that's how I converted those over. Now, it also gives you something else that's really nice. With your mana tablet, you also get given a band of aura that just passively generates mana over time. I wish I would have gotten this early on. But for right now, we have all of this, and this is just passively generating mana also in my inventory along with this. So let's go ahead and convert these items over, and these are the items that we're going to need for Terra Steel. And this is also going to use up, I believe, a half a mana pool. So this is the mana pool it's linked to. So we should notice when we craft this, that half of that mana pool is going to disappear. And this is going to produce the 1 Terra Steel that we need to open up the portal to Alfheim. Yes, we're going to be exchanging materials with the portal of Alfheim. And this is going to allow us to gain access to the bee area. I'm pretty excited by this. And Terra Steel is a big part of the Botania mod. And now we have one. All of this journey has led to this point. So now that I have this, really what needs to be done is it needs to be broken down into its base components, because we need to make a nature pylon. We need 2 of those for this process. We're going to need 1 elven gateway core, and we're also going to need 3 glimmering living wood, and then more living wood in order to fill out our structure that we're about to build. Now, by completing this, we also get a truncator from this, and this is a pretty powerful axe. Now, underneath the Elven Gateway portal, which is what we're about to make, it says, Species X-122 was a race of friendly extra-dimensional beings that called themselves elves. Their very physics worked differently than ours, so although we have never been able to visit one another directly, we have set up trading practices in the past. It says they may be able to provide some unique materials for us in exchange for materials we produce here that they are unable to create. It says create a gateway portal according to the diagram. And so we should be able to use our Lexica Botania if you wanted an exact way to replicate this. But I have this memorized, ingrained in my brain, as I've made this a million times over. So I have now used up all of my materials, and I have 2 mana pools set up here specifically for this task. Let's go ahead and line this up. I'm going to place my gateway core right here in the center, and then up here, I simply just need to go up, place myself down a glimmering living wood, and then right on top here, I'm going to place a log. And then the same thing needs to go for up top. We're going to have a glimmering log that's going to go up here. And then we just continue on just like this. I'm also going to remove these corner pieces, by the way. So the log's going to go here. Also, this, I typically like to make it fit like that. There we go. So this is all flowing into one another. And just like this, and then remove the corners. And I like to use stairs for the corners, but you don't have to put anything in the corners here for this portal to function. To make it look nice, I'm going to place down some of the planks. And looky there. before we know it, we have ourselves a functioning portal to another realm. Like, this is crazy. Now, one thing though, we have yet to activate it, and that's where this mana tablet is really going to shine. I need to pull mana from these pulls. And so to do this, I'm going to toss my tablet in, and then I'm going to make sure to switch it to a different mode. So just shift right click, and that is going to drain mana into my tablet and allow me to pull mana into these pulls, because we're going to need these to be at least about an eighth full before we can even activate the portal. And so to get them there, we just need to toss them in here and just sort of monitor until it's about an eighth full, or a quarter full, not an eighth. So we'll get it there. I may have to refill, but this tablet should hold basically a half a mana pool worth inside here. And eventually we'll want to automate and somehow get mana filled up into these, especially if we're going to be tossing items all the time into here, trading back and forth, as it does cost a bit of this each time you do a transfer. So now that I have the adequate amount of mana in here, I'm going to place down my pylons on top. And so the pylons normally would light green, but it's shaders that are blocking them. But this should still work. So now that we have this engaged, all we have to do is click here, and our portal is now active. That's right. And it does consume a little bit of mana from both pools. Now we can start trading items back and forth. So now it tells us trading sugar to the elves has resulted in a honeyed essence that we can use to make liquid honey. The bees in our world died off long ago, but the genetic materials contained within this honey, we believe we can initiate a resurgence. And this is going to be pretty cool. So to be able to get this honey, we just need to toss sugar in. So let's go ahead and grab some sugar, and we can toss a little bit in here, and we get back honey essence. Look at that. We get a honey glazed ham from Farmer's Delight. That sounds delicious. At the time of this recording, it is Thanksgiving time for me. So, this is delicious. It looks delicious. Probably going to be eating this in a few days. So anyways, now that we've unlocked this technically unlocks an entirely new chapter for us, or at least the ability to jump into a new chapter. And that is this one, the epigenetics. So simulating the hive, it says our scientists believe that we have the ability to use the elemental essence that you've been researching, along with our honey essence traded for from our friends in the Alfheim dimension, to stabilize a breed of bee to help the regenesis of Elyria. Okay, it says submit some honey melted down from honey bottles in a melting chamber to the task screen, along with the appropriate amount of power. And we'll load it up into simulation and make sure your simulation is clear before initializing the new simulation. Okay, so we're going to get a new dimension, and this is going to be kind of interesting, right? So hopefully this is going to unlock an entirely new area that's bee related. I'm excited for this. So we need to send it some power, and that is under the power of hive simulation. So let's go ahead and do that. This is where I have this set up. So hive simulation, power of hive simulation, and we'll get that started. That's going to take a little bit of time. I'm not super worried. And by the time we have that, we might be able to work on the other thing. So let's grab a task screen. This is pretty easy to make. And over here, we have a melting chamber. So maybe we can go ahead and change up the way this is set up, and we can just move this fluid card up here. And what we should be able to do is do bottled honey. So we need honey, and it shows that we can obtain liquid honey from Cyclic via honey bottles. And it looks like honey bottles can be attained with glass and a single honey essence. So all we have to do is select honey for the hive, and well, let's get this going. So this should send it just like that. Perfect. Now at this point, we're ready to go. I have both of these finished up, and well, it was just a little bit of time. I have my simulation cleared, which you're going to want to make sure you have done. And now we can simulate the hive. Let's activate it. And we have somewhere new to visit. All right, I do want to make sure and rename this to the hive. And so now we have access to this for whenever we want to store it. But what is this place? Whoa. Okay, this place is amazing. I was not expecting this. Is that iron? There's just blocks of iron everywhere. And just blocks of copper everywhere. Wait, am I supposed to tear this place down? Because now I just want to tear it down for all of the copper that's in here. Oh, and we do have some bees. It looks like some hives. Oh, and there are bees inside of it. Very interesting. Okay, so we have some advanced hives. And it looks like their expansion box is on the bottom of it, which I think is wrong. But we'll be able to fix all that. So maybe the prior people who were here, maybe they just didn't really know what they were doing. Who knows? Ooh, there's also some nests here. Now, I don't know if these are going to work. Will they? We should be able to feed these treats, and they should be able to spawn in these types of bees. We'll see how that goes. But this place is amazing. Oh, my goodness. Look at all the copper. There's tons of stuff up here. And there's a big old stairwell. Okay, what's up here? We've got to find out. Now I've got to explore this whole place. There is so much honey. Holy honey and holy copper. Okay, I think we have enough honey and enough comb blocks, like, for a lifetime. We're gonna definitely, you can tell this place has been sitting here for a while. These bees have really called this place their home. Wow, okay. So what exactly do we need to do now that we've made it into this place? Because I think this is kind of a big moment, because we've just gained access to the Productive Bees mod, which is a huge resource gen. This can generate tons and tons of resources for us. Ooh, one of the bees just popped out of the hive. Look at that. We are able to observe a bee. Now, how do we keep these bees safe? That is something that I need to figure out soon. Now, I know that we should be able to use hives, or these sturdy bee cages, to pick them up. But I think I have another solution to potentially moving bees around. Now, inside my backpack, I have a nether. Wait, we've already got nether star. Oh my goodness. In my backpack, we have gas tiers. Ignore the nether star, even though this does drop. It's a really low chance to drop from the scrap boxes. But I just need a gas tier for right now. And we should be able to use this gas tier to make something kind of cool. And that is going to be a mob imprisonment tool. And this will allow us to move mobs around and kind of completely disregard the bee cages. Even though the bee cages are going to be needed later on, this right here will allow us to just simply move mobs around. And I dug out this hole for good reason. I'm hoping that one of these mobs, these bees can pop out of here, and we can hopefully grab them and place them in this room. So I'm going to grab some glass, and I need a door, because I think I'm going to need to breed up some bees. So let's go ahead and do that. But what I want to do is I want to make a nice little breeding chamber temporarily to make this all happen. So we'll place our door in. So now we have a breeding area. Now we just need to get the bees out of the hives. Now, I may be having a little bit of problem getting the bees to come out, but we should be able to manage that with a simulator upgrade. And it does appear that this upgrade is going to be just plastic to make. So we do have plenty of plastic. So let's go ahead and set up a auto crafting recipe for this exact thing. Just like this. And then for the actual simulator, it just requires some Fluix crystal. So that will give us a simulation upgrade. And all I got to do is just add this to our autocraft over here on the production with just some plastic. And we're looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and get ourselves all of this placed in our autocrafting. And there's that in the barrel. So we'll go down here and then we'll assign that. And perfect. So productive bees. Let's go ahead and get the base upgrade. And does this actually require, yes, it requires us to have had the simulator, and then we also need advanced hives. So I'm wondering, should I make an autocraft for advanced hives as well? I think we could probably just craft that all together. Let's also make sure we craft this. Okay, so there we go. So we have that, and an advanced hive is kind of interesting. It's just needing honeycombs, and we actually have plenty of honeycombs in this area, so I should probably collect some. Oh my gosh, and I just realized there's bone blocks everywhere, and we've just encountered more mobs. Nope, don't do this. Mobs can apparently spawn in here. I've got to be careful going back and forth. And with all of these honeycomb blocks, we can just convert them directly into honeycombs. Oh, that is so nice. And so we just need some shears. So I'm thinking iron. Can we make shears with iron? We didn't have this when we made our first shear. So there we go. Nice. We put that together and we can actually craft these advanced hives, but they're also right here as well. So this is going to give us another simulation, a productivity, and also it's going to give us a speed upgrade. These are really nice. Now, I think what I'm going to do to simply convert our bees here and be able to rearrange our hives, I'm going to break this bottom one. And what we need to do is actually put the advanced hive here on top of the expansion boxes. So let's grab our expansion box. Looks like we're a little too quick at breaking things. And so let's go ahead and try and rearrange this. Let's see, this is an advanced beehive. Let's go ahead and place it right here. So what we want to do is place down our advanced beehive right here. And then on top, we want to put the expansion box. And so that's how this is going to be arranged. And then we get access to our upgrade slots. So I think that's the thing we need to do here. We need an expansion box on top. And now we have our upgrade slots. So what we can do is actually put our simulator upgrades in here and our speed upgrades. But what it allows us to do is actually get our bees out. So let's go ahead and under the productive bees mod, let's use a bee cage and make some of them. And this will allow us to get the bees out if you're having a hard time. There we go. So I want them out technically because I want to be able to breed them. Now I noticed there's some, they didn't stack. So one of them is actually different than the other, but I want to place them in here. Oh, one of them apparently has, yeah, two of them are pollinated and one is not. Okay. So what I want to do is put the flower down here and I want to just breed these up and get these started to breed because we're going to need several of these to sort of move forward through this. Our next step here says, well, it says we've prepared the new environment for the genetically modified bees. So the responsibility now falls to you. Breed bees and allow them to adapt to the new environment. As you now breed new species, you should breed extra for reprocessing, which is what we're working on right now. This is take the bees in a bee cage over to the bottler. It says place bottles in it and a piston 1 block above the bottler. Let the bee loose inside and then smash it with the piston. Take care that they don't fly away and use it says trapdoors are useful here. Oh boy, this seems kind of interesting. So, okay, so we're going to be squishing bees in a bottler. I think for this one, we should be careful. Oh man, I should stop. You know, I'm really interested in how this is actually going to work because I've never done this. This is all new to me. So let's go ahead and get a piston in. And so what we should be able to do is piston the bee down. Oh, I think we actually get this as a reward. Yes, and we get the lever. Okay, so it also gives us a sturdy bee cage, which is a reusable bee cage, and it works just like the imprisonment tool. So let's get this faced downward. And I'm assuming it's supposed to be like this. And then we're going to need some way to activate the piston. So we can use a lever or a button. And we were supposed to put a bottle in here and then trapdoors to kind of keep the bee inside of the bottler area. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. And now we should have an area for the bees to go into. And we should be able to piston them to get the what is this? A squished bee material. Oh boy, that sounds fancy. We also get 16 of them after doing this. Now, while that's working, I want to dabble into a few blocks that don't seem super fundamental to the structural integrity of this building. And I kind of want to do this. I want to take some of these bone blocks that are lining this entire area. Yeah, I think this will be worth it. So we can make more flowers, right? This is going to be so nice. This can help jumpstart our growth here because these flowers can be used on these bees to make their breeding cycle faster, make them turn into adult bees quicker. This is really nice because bees that are just born, if we can get them to adult, are ready to breed again. And so we just need to find the ones that we just turned into a full-size bee, like this one, for example. Unfortunately, we can't see the breed timer, but we can see when it's going to grow into a full bee, like now. And then we just need to find the bees that, no! We just lost several bees. Oh, let's not do that. Oh no. All of my hard work. Don't punch your bees. I bet we just lost several bees in that exchange. No, don't do this. Oh, good. I think we just lost one bee. That was honestly bound to happen. I am really bad at this. Okay. Do we have any bees that are ready to be breeded up? There we go. Oh no, there's the 2 bees that stung me. We literally made it down to just a few bees. Oh, I had a whole area full. So after recovering from that and breaking some more bone blocks, I now have the ability to technically pick up one of these bees. So we now have a bee in here, and I want to try and get it to be placed in there. Okay, so it's inside of that area. And then we're supposed to put a bottle in and then do that. Oh my goodness. We just squished the bee. This is for good. This is for good. I promise it's for good. Now with this, we just gained access to 16 more, which is a nice little jump start. And that is going to lead us into a powered centrifuge that we need to put together. And with that, we should have a powered centrifuge. Now I want to use the power that we currently have to potentially power this. I'm not sure how much power this is actually going to need, but we could do a combustion generator, or we can do a GPS and just use some of the power that we already have to power this. So I'm going to use this wireless. Now, if we close out this dimension, I'm almost positive this basically will remove it if we were to ever teleport into this dimension, which is something that we haven't even talked about. You can actually visit these dimensions while they're inside of the storage. Yeah, so you just need to put a waystone in here and you should be able to visit that. So let's go ahead and put this here, and then we should be able to power it from one of our nodes. Believe it or not, I actually have a node setting over here that is utilizing some of that power. And it looks like that definitely jump-started that power. Now it says these centrifuges are quite the energy hog, so make sure your power production is up to the task. You'll need to run many of these full time to separate bee gene materials, as well as produce the abundance of combs. You'll soon be producing to provide you with all the matter of resources. I wonder what it means by that. But we also get a Bobby upgrade, which is going to be able to allow us in the simulations to actually make more bees. So every time a production task happens, there'll be a 5% chance for a baby bee to be produced in here. That'll be kind of useful when we start putting our bees back in this place. Now, apparently we need to put the bottle in here, and this is going to consume power. Looks like quite a bit of power. Not sure exactly how much, unfortunately. I wish every mod just told you how much RF drain it was actively doing. That'd be really handy to know. But this splits into all kinds of different gene samples. So once we grab one out of here, that should complete our quest right here. This is once you've obtained a pure gene, it's a sample, you will now be able to replicate those genes utilizing the programmable UU matter, or programmable matter known as UU matter. It says combine any pure gene sample with UU matter to duplicate it, and you'll want to keep a master copy of any important genes. So we actually get a gene sample that is dineural at 100%. Well, something we probably want to keep on us and make sure we keep this, because that is a 100%, whereas this is only a 49%. And this is where things are probably going to get a little bit more complicated. Now it says, now that you extracted some genes, you can combine them manually to increase their purity. And it says to generate a bee, inherit the genetics you will need to increase the purity to 100%. The gene indexer can help speed this process along by automatically combining genes up to 100% for you when given a redstone signal. This will allow you to pipe them directly into allow you to pipe directly into it to help automate the process. Interesting. So how would you go about automating the squishing of the bees though? Like, do we need to do that? So if we put this in, that's probably going to produce another set. So you know what? I'm going to actually make that, that gene indexer first, and then we can start working on this. So now this is the gene indexer. And apparently if we give it a redstone signal, such as like a lever, it will automatically combine the resources for us together. So if we put all of these in, keep in mind that I want to make sure that my pure ones are not in here, I'm assuming. We'll put this in here, and that is going to store them. And then over here, we get this processing through. And I wonder how much it actually goes up when you combine them. So this is going to be ones that it's just now received. We also get given a speed upgrade for this. But okay, so these are put together. So I'm guessing normally we would take, for example, this gene sample and this one, we'd combine them together, but it doesn't look like we can do that this way. So we put it inside this machine, and then we give it a redstone signal, and it looks like it is combining them together in some weird way. So, I guess the ones that we tried to combine maybe weren't the exact same, because we have different ones. We have productivity high and also low. So essentially what we want to do, I guess, is logistics this over. So let's go ahead and use a logistics pipe, and we'll go ahead and make sure this is extracting from the materials that we're sending into it. I love this, the way this looks on the inside. And then that should combine all of these. And what we're looking for, apparently, is we're looking for these 100%, right? Gene samples. So that's, and then we'll end up getting a nice one here, right? It looks like it'll give us 100%. So long as we have like a normal at 100% or any of them at 100%. I will admit this is pretty satisfying to watch, and I'm glad that we were given some, because we've already reached like productivity high on on some of them. I'm noticing this is already at 100% and is a high variant. And this one underneath this, the temper is already at 100%. The inferium one is at 100%. We are really getting somewhere. And this is another productivity that's a high, that's at 100% almost. Ooh. So after all 16 of those bottles, technically 17, we now have a few of these that are at 100%. And apparently we're supposed to be able to submit them. The ones that are at 100%, right? I would assume. There's all of these. These are not exactly there. So in our quest, looks like we get a UU matter, which is nice, and some honey treats. Now this is going to be a submit. Can I submit one? We did submit, and we need a UU matter. I'll do all that here in a moment. Let's submit one of these. And then we can submit one of these. Perfect. And that will give us a medium productivity. And then we submit that. And then all we need to do is submit UU matter, which we should have plenty of. So after grabbing a few, let's go ahead and now submit this. And hopefully I'm understanding this. I'm going to go ahead and take these. Now we don't have any in our inventory, so these are the ones that we're going to want to make sure we keep a stock of, for sure. So there we go. We get a productivity upgrade here. Submit. This is going to be so worth it as we continue to progress on. So this says we need a medium or better productivity gene, and we actually have one right here. So we should be able to just follow through this progression line to get the high, and then that is going to complete, and we get a very high gene sample. Okay, so gene sample, very high. Let's go ahead and put a barrel up here. This is going to be where we store these maxed out gene samples, and this is where we're going to want to make sure we keep a store of, because we can duplicate these apparently. This also says endurance too, so let's actually take our high endurance and we'll submit that. There we go. Now we have a duplicate of that. So okay, so we have our very high, and these are the ones that we want to keep a stock of, and this is going to lead us to the honey treat that is going to make these bees really powerful apparently. So we need to craft it like so, with a honey treat, and then we need to use this on a bee. But it's very specific. This is not for like normal bees. This is for the productivity-based bees. So now I've gone ahead and got all of these duplicated, and I want to make sure to put these back exactly as you see here, because after you use your UU matter to duplicate them, you're going to want to be careful and make sure you keep at least one copy stored in some chest somewhere. Otherwise, if you lose one, it's going to be really hard to get it back. Now, I should be able to use this to make this honey treat, but it has to be very specific. So the way that this is ordered right here, it needs to be in the same order to be able to successfully craft this this turn in here to allow the reward to work. Unfortunately, that is a thing. So we have it over here to be able to reference. So you can click on this and add it to the list. And so this is the one that we need. And we should be able to craft this with a honey treat. Now it does say it's missing an item here, behavior, but we do have it right here. And so that should be exactly what we need to craft this. Okay, I think it looks like it's the exact same order. It is. So once we craft it, there we go. We now have our super bee and we get rewarded with a bunch of other treats. Oh boy. Now it does say here that these modifications don't work via the honey treat on standard bees. You'll need bees from the productive variant to accept the modified genes. So how do we go about doing that? That's the thing that I'm trying to figure out. It says, throughout the diligent research into genetic modifications, our scientists in the Nexa have been able to resequence your genome to upgrade your biological form. Oh man, when ready, push the button and download the new genetic instruction set in your body. That is going to be crazy. Okay, the naturally occurring radiation in the world will no longer affect me. Okay, so we no longer take effects and we get an intake cake, and when we eat this, we now have a keybind to be able to open an inventory that's going to give us access to our inventory in inventory. So now for the fun part, we actually get to create our own custom bees. Now to make our own bees, we're going to need a baby incubator. Yes, that's exactly what you think it is, because it's exactly what it is. We need to incubate baby bees, or eggs, aka bees, I guess. And we need to turn these into actual spawn eggs. So we're actually given some eggs. We should be able to craft eggs though, because we do have chicken essence. So this is how we're going to essentially breed up some bees, but we are going to need some power for this. We can also use some speed upgrades, hopefully in this. And the way this is going to work is kind of odd. So now that it has power, we can go ahead and do this. So in here, we're actually given our first gene sample, but we can actually craft these gene samples in a bunch of different ways. So all of these are bees that we have access to crafting now. And all it takes is some UU matter and a metallurgic infuser and some sort of material. And that is going to produce that bee. This is like a huge turning point. And by the way, 1 UU matter equals 100 millibuckets. So you can end up getting 10 of these gene samples for 1 UU matter. And these gene samples are going to be very important. So for example, if we want to make an inferium one, well, we have the inferium one, but if we wanted to make any of the others, we would just put it into the metallurgic infuser. That's pretty straightforward. And we can go ahead and get ourselves an air bee, an air crystal bee, which will just give us air crystals apparently. And this one right here will be a mining bee. And this one will give us pink slime and a ghost bee. All of these things are incredibly important and are going to take some time to do, but let's first make inferium bee, because we do have access to that right here. And so all we're going to do is take a regular honey treat. We should be able to combine this gene sample with it, and that's going to give us a inferium bee. And so if we put the egg in with this, as shown here, we should be able to get the bee. So we put the egg here and then this, and with a little bit of time, as you see here, the progress is very slow. It's going to give us the bee. See if we can put some speed upgrades in here. That'll make it go a little faster. And this will actually give us a bee spawn egg though, which is kind of cool. And then we can use these advanced treats on them, and that will make it a little bit easier for us to kind of get jump started. For example, even with making these honeycombs for the inferium bee is going to be very nice because we don't have a way of automating honeycombs. So that's going to mean a few things. We're going to need an extensive setup, I think, for bees and automation for them. Now, I don't know if it fully mentions this, but you will need a feeding slab if you plan on using the simulator upgrade. The feeding slab is something that needs to not go in front of this unless you place the feeding slab on the top half of the slab. So if you place your expansion beehives like this, and you place this like this, your beehive will not work. So that's something to keep in mind if you have this and you're like, why is my bees not doing anything? Because you're actually covering the face. And so this actually needs to go one block down like that. and then you put your items such as flowers or whatever the bee requires in order to breed in the feeding slab, and it can go down here. And that allows the bee, even though it's staying in the hive with the simulator upgrade, it'll still allow it to interact with the feeding slab. So something to keep in mind. And now we have ourselves our first Inferium bee. And so what we should be able to do is we should be able to get that bee spawned into the world. And let's see, productive bees. Let's grab our sturdy cage. And then I want to click a single honey treat onto it, and that should make it a advanced version, right? And then we have now a nice bee in here that we should be able to put in. And if we hold shift, we can see that it is very high tolerant. It accepts any flower. So that should work, right? So Inferium bee, and we can take a look at the bee itself and we can see what flower it needs. So in this case, it needs an Inferium block, and that's where that feeding slab comes into play. So we already have an Inferium block right here, and we can just put that in the feeding slab. And now the bee should just produce things over time. And we can put speed upgrades in it and all kinds of stuff. Now, I believe the breeding ones, it says does not work with bees that cannot self-breed. So you'll have to check your bee. And for example, the Inferium bee, we should be able to see if it can self-breed. It does not look like there is a self-breeding section, so this will not duplicate itself. You'll just have to make more of them. But looky there, we already have our first Inferium cone. And this turns into Inferium essence inside of the powered centrifuge. This is how we're going to get this. It also gives you a little bit of wax, but this is how we're going to set up some automations for these bees. And this is going to be an extensive process, more or less on my end, because there's not a lot of video content in these bees. Another thing you might notice is the honey will start to build up in these, but if the honey does max out, from my experience in the past, it doesn't matter because the honey will just stay in here and it'll still continue to produce combs. Now, looking through all of these gene samples, it does appear that this is going to be one of the best ways to do elemental craft, is having a bee for all of these individual elemental craft things, such as all of the crystals. Look at that, even drenched aluminum blocks, and also that that springing galine block or whatever it's called. This stuff is all here. So this is going to be great. So now I think this is essentially unlocked a brand new chapter in our story here. And well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed thus far. If you have, be sure to click that subscribe button. If you haven't already, I'll give this video a huge thumbs up. These two take a tremendous amount of time to make, so I would appreciate it. Also, if you'd comment down below and let me know what bee is your favorite bee out of the Productive Bees mod. Let me know. I really like to know. So, guys, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that is going to be a huge thanks that's going to go out to Kenny881. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, over on the Discord, becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. Guys, I thank you so very much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. And as always, as I'll say it again, thanks for watching. Bye!